It's 2026, and every franchise ever beloved to you will never be given the gift of closure. One of the most important anime in my life, as people will probably know, has been Neon Genesis Evangelion. It's been one of the shows that has shaped me and one show that really helped me through a lot of times in my life. It's been a franchise that I've grown up with, and after the final movie came out a few years ago, it was a sombering feeling to finally actually feel like this part of my life was now over. Well, it turns out that emotion would be short-lived because I just woke up today to the news that a new Evangelion anime has been announced, and my first reaction to that was, of course they would never let this die. So recently, Eva has been going through their 30th anniversary, and in Japan here, they made a whole event out of it, and on the last day, they announced that they are working on a new Eva anime series. And while I'm not surprised they would ever let Eva be let to rest, there were a few things that actually caught my interest in this project once some of the details got released. Because if you just check the information that has just been released, the series is going to be written by Yoko Taro. Yes, that Yoko Taro. The Yoko Taro of the Drakengard and Nier series. Not only that, but it's going to be directed by Kazuya Tsurumaki and Toru Yatabe, with music by Keiichi Okabe, produced by Studio Kara and Cloverworks. And you know what, on the surface, if you're going to give the reins of Evangelion to anyone else outside of Hideaki Anno, this is an absolute dream team. Obviously, a lot of people are talking about Yoko Taro doing the script for this, and if you know anything about his work, you know he is one of the most weirdest and eccentric people in the gaming industry. He is not afraid to do some absolutely batshit insane and weird stuff in all of his work, and also be very openly horny on main as well. You know, there are only a few people out there that can hold a mantle to be as openly out there as Hideaki Anno, but Yoko Taro is definitely up there, so I think him working on Eva is a awesome match made in heaven. But also it's being directed by Kazuya Tsurumaki, who has been in the industry since the OG Gainax days, so he is someone who has probably worked with Anno before, someone who is a huge veteran of the industry, and someone who definitely would give Evangelion the respect it deserves. But then there's also Toko Yatabe. Sorry, I got her name wrong in the original tweet since it was incorrectly spelt, but she is, from what I can see, a little bit newer in the industry. She worked on the Chainsaw Reze movie and also was an episode director for some episodes of Gundam G-Quacks. But the music is also done by Keiichi Okabe, and if you've watched any of my videos, you know that my editors love using a lot of music from his work because he does the music for Drakengard and Nier, and there are some absolutely beautiful tracks there. So much of his music is not only really fucking beautiful and powerful, but it has this ethereal quality to it. If you just take a bunch of tracks and plop them into Eva as it is now, it would be a pretty good fit as it is. So I think his work would be pretty damn perfect for Eva. But of course, the final thing that not many people are talking about is that this is going to be a collaboration between Studio Kara, which is no surprise because they are the Evangelion studio, but is going to be a collaboration with them and Studio Cloverworks. And Studio Cloverworks really excites me because pretty much everything they produce on a visual standpoint and an animation standpoint is top tier, and I think it would be very interesting to see what they bring to the table when it comes to Evangelion. Having looked at all the details, as I said, on the surface, this looks like a match made in heaven, and it definitely has my attention because this has the potential to be something really great on paper. But you know, once the initial intrigue and hype wore down of just seeing the names involved in this project, I can't help but feel a little bit conflicted about it and very cautious despite all the hype that's going into it. To me, Eva is one of the most important anime franchises in my life. It's something that has affected me deeply, and the original Eva is possibly one of the most powerful pieces of media I've ever watched. And a huge reason for that is because, in my eyes, Eva is Anno. Of course, the characters are iconic, and the franchise at this point is just a money printing machine that has been commercialized to every single aspect you can think of in Japan and beyond. But to me, the beating heart of Eva was the person behind it. And part of the reason why, when I watched the fourth film and when I finally put this series to rest in my heart, part of the reason I got so emotional was just feeling like I was seeing someone find closure in their own life. someone who was mentally just in a far better place than they were when they made the original series. Someone who said, hey, Ava's over. It's been 20 fucking years. Go out, touch grass. And that is my biggest concern, because what is Ava without Anno himself? Because I have no doubt that Yoko Taro can craft something equally as weird and very, very powerful as well. But Ava was this lightning in a bottle that captured the consensus and emotions and frustration and despair and insecurities of an entire generation, because one person in that time period was able to lay themselves out bare. So one thing I do hope, if we are going to revive this franchise, is that it's going to be an entirely new story with new characters that would allow for just a new take on the series, on the franchise. Because in terms of Shinji, Asuka, Rei, and Misato's story, to me, I have laid their stories to rest. I've laid their story to rest 3 goddamn times in my life already, okay? I don't need a 4th time. Because I do think Ava, as a franchise, does have potential to explore new ideas and new stories with new characters. And I sincerely hope that that is the direction they take with this, as opposed to kind of rehashing and reusing characters that, to me and a lot of other fans, we have already laid to rest and moved on from. But fuck, man. Who knows? It's the modern day and age. It's 2026. Nothing we ever love can ever be laid to rest. So with everything said, I will be definitely watching this new series with cautious optimism. So what can we learn from all this? What's worth more than going outside, forgetting Ava and touching grass? Money.